Welcome to Beyond the Alien Eyes, your home for heartfelt HFY sci-fi stories. Subscribe, hit the bell, and join our growing community of fans who believe the greatest power in the universe is the human heart. Thank you for watching, and welcome to the galaxy through eyes you've never seen before. The sword in the stone temple. The twin suns burned bright in the sky of the dry alien world called Vornak. Red sand stretched across the land like a sea. In the middle of this wasteland stood a giant black temple, old and silent. It was known as the Stone Temple of Vaelzar, and deep inside that temple was a sword no one could lift. For over 1,000 years, aliens from every part of the galaxy came here. Big ones, strong ones, even those with psychic powers. All tried. All failed. The sword was stuck in a stone pedestal. It had strange blue symbols glowing on the blade, and the stone hummed with energy. The sword never moved, not even a little. Some called it the chosen blade. Others called it the dead weapon, but all agreed it could only be lifted by someone truly worthy. On that day, another crowd gathered inside the temple. There were warriors, priests, and even a princess. A tall reptilian alien stepped forward. His skin was dark green and covered in scars. His name was General Krar, the warlord of the Crashtalk Empire. He was 7 feet tall and known for crushing starships with his fists. Krar walked to the sword slowly. The crowd held its breath. He growled and grabbed the hilt with both hands. He shouted and pulled with all his power. The stone glowed red. Sparks flew from the floor. Krar roared, but the sword did not move. With an angry roar, Krar stepped back. The crowd stayed quiet. No one dared laugh. Failing to lift the sword was not a joke. Suddenly, the temple doors creaked. Everyone turned. A human walked in. He looked dusty and tired. He wore an old space explorer's jacket, torn at the sleeves. His hair was messy and a backpack hung from one shoulder. He looked nothing like a warrior. His name was Jack Mason. Jack had crash-landed nearby while scouting for minerals. He didn't know about the sword. He only saw the large crowd and the strange glowing rock, and curiosity pulled him in. One alien whispered, "What is that?" Another laughed. "A human? Here?" Zainara, a young alien girl with silver skin and bright purple eyes, stood near the back. She whispered to herself, "He shouldn't be here." Jack stepped forward, looking at the glowing sword. He didn't look afraid, just curious. "What is this place?" Gluttony asked. No one answered. Krar stomped toward him. "Leave, human. This place is not for your kind." Jack smiled. "Just asking." Zainara rushed to his side and grabbed his arm. "Don't touch the sword," she warned in a low voice. "It's dangerous. No one can lift it." Jack looked at her surprised. "But has a human ever tried?" Zainara blinked. "No, but then maybe I should," Jack said. The crowd laughed. Some aliens shouted insults. Others watched in silence. Krar growled again. "Go ahead, human, break your arms." Jack walked up to the stone. He took a deep breath. He touched the sword. Suddenly the ground shook. Just a little. The blue symbols on the blade lit up. The humming grew louder. Zainara gasped. So did the crowd. Jack looked confused. He placed both hands on the hilt and pulled, lightly. The sword moved, only a little. But it moved. Whispers spread like wildfire. He moved it. "No, that's impossible." The sword reacted to him. Krar stepped forward in rage. "Stop. That sword is sacred." But Jack didn't hear him. His hands felt warm and a strange energy ran through his arms. Zainara shouted, "Stop, please. It might hurt you." Jack stepped back, heart racing. He had never felt something like that before. It was like the sword spoke to him, not with words but feelings. It didn't push him away. It welcomed him. Krar pushed through the crowd. "You will regret this, human." But the temple had already noticed Jack. The air inside felt heavy as if the stone walls were watching him. Zainara looked at him with wide eyes. Who are you? Jack gave a nervous laugh. Just a guy who got lost. From above, a deep sound echoed through the temple. It was like thunder, but not from the sky. It came from the sword itself. The sword had awakened, and Jack Mason was the first being in 1,000 years to make it move. Jack the outsider. The sword had moved. Even if just slightly, it moved. The temple air became cold and sharp. Whispers bounced off the ancient walls like ghosts waking up after 1,000-year sleep. But Jack Mason didn't understand what he had just done. He stepped back from the sword, breathing fast. His palms tingled. His heart pounded. It wasn't just the effort. It was something deeper, stranger. Like something inside the sword had recognized him. The aliens surrounding him weren't silent anymore. They were restless, angry, afraid. Witchcraft, one shouted. He tricked the sword. He's a cursed outsider. General Krar's eyes burned like twin suns. His claws clicked against his armor as he walked forward, towering over Jack. You don't belong here, human, Krar said in a low, dangerous voice. The sword doesn't belong to your kind. Jack looked around. All the aliens, once silent statues, now glared at him. Some raised their weapons. Others whispered to their leaders. Many were waiting for a reason to attack. Zainara, still by his side, tugged his sleeve. We have to go now. Jack didn't argue. His curiosity had become a trap. They ran down the temple steps and into the wide red desert. Sand swirled beneath their boots, and the dry wind howled in protest. Once they were far from the temple, Jack finally spoke. Why did it move? Zainara stopped. Her glowing purple eyes stared at him as if seeing a ghost. No alien has ever made it move. Not one. Jack shrugged. But I'm not an alien. She blinked. Exactly. They found an abandoned cave where Zainara lit up a small blue flame from a device on her wrist. She sat down on a rock, still staring at Jack like he was a puzzle. You don't understand what just happened, she said. That sword, Baelzar's blade, is not just some ancient weapon. It was made during the First Empire before time was even measured. It chooses only one bearer in all of history, the Chosen. Jack laughed nervously. I'm no chosen. One. But the sword moved for you, she replied, her voice quiet. It means something. Jack looked at his hands. The tingling had stopped, but something lingered. A faint blue glow shimmered under his skin, barely visible like forgotten lightning trapped beneath the surface. He covered it quickly. Zainara leaned closer. There's something else. The sword didn't just move. The temple itself shifted. It released a signal. I felt it in my blood. A signal. Yes, a call, like it was waking up. Jack rubbed his forehead. Great. I touch one ancient sword and now the whole galaxy might come for me? Zainara didn't laugh. She was serious. You don't understand how many empires want that sword. Wars were fought over it. Planets burned. You've done something. Dangerous. Suddenly, a loud hum echoed outside the cave. Jack grabbed the edge of the rock and stood still. Zainara slowly stepped toward the entrance. She peeked outside. Ships. 3 dark ships hovered above the sands, casting long shadows. Lights blinked on their sides. One had the crash talk symbol, a red claw holding a skull. They followed us, Zainara whispered. Krar sent hunters. Jack clenched his jaw. All because I touched a sword? No, she said, voice tense. Because you moved it. Outside, mechanical legs hit the sand. Soldiers began searching. Hounds sniffed the air. They'll find us, Jack said. Zainara turned to him. Unless we run, I know a secret path, but it's dangerous. Jack sighed. Better than waiting here to be crushed. Before they left, Jack turned once more, to look at his glowing hand. He had come to this planet just to map minerals. Now, the galaxy was watching him, and something inside that sword had chosen him. The sword reacts. The desert trembled that night. Far away from the temple, hidden in the rocky canyons of Vornak, Jack and Zinara crept through narrow paths under the red moonlight. But they didn't know. They were not alone anymore. Something ancient had awakened. Inside the stone temple of Valzar, after Jack touched the sword, the stone floor cracked beneath it. Dust fell from the ceiling. The sword now pulsed faintly with blue light. The priests watching over it fell to their knees in silence. The sword was alive, and it was waiting for him. Meanwhile, in the canyon, Jack paused to catch his breath. "How far is this path of yours?" he asked. "Close," Zinara said, watching the sky. "But we need to stay quiet. The crash talk hunters don't rest." Suddenly, Jack felt a burning sensation in his arm. He pulled back his sleeve and saw a glowing symbol appear on his skin. It was the same symbol carved into the blade of the sword. Zinara gasped. "That's the mark of Vale." Jack stared. "Is this normal?" "No," she whispered. "It means the sword did more than move for you. It bonded with you. You're marked now." Before Jack could respond, a loud buzzing filled the air. A drone. It scanned the canyon with red light. Zinara grabbed Jack's arm and pulled him into a narrow crack in the rocks. They waited, silent. The drone passed. Zinara let out a breath. "They're close. If they find the mark on you..." Jack looked down. The mark pulsed again, glowing brighter. And then, suddenly, he heard a voice. Not from outside. From inside his mind. "Bearer, return to the blade. Complete the awakening." Jack's eyes widened. "Did you hear that?" "Hear what?" Zinara asked, confused. There was a voice. "It spoke to me." Zinara froze. "The sword is speaking to you already?" "I think so. It called me bearer. It told me to return." Zinara stepped back. "This is not just rare, it's impossible. Only the first king of Vornak ever heard the sword speak. That was over 10,000 years ago." Jack looked shaken. "What do I do?" She looked around, then made a decision. "We go to the old star station. There's a chamber there. Ancient tech from the First Age. Maybe it can explain what's happening." But they weren't the only ones making plans. Back at the Crash Talk war camp, General Krar slammed his fist on the metal table. A human. A worthless, dirt-born human moved the sword. His top hunter, a slim insectoid alien with 6 red eyes, bowed. "He carries the mark, General. Our drones confirmed it." Krar snarled. "Then bring me his body. I don't care if he's alive or dead, just bring the sword back." Hours later, Jack and Zinara reached the ruins of an ancient star station built into the cliffs. Its doors were half buried in sand. Jack helped pull them open with effort. Inside, the walls were covered with glowing old tech, humming softly. "This place is from before the fall," Zinara explained, "built by those who made the sword." As they walked in, Jack's mark pulsed faster, like a signal. A nearby panel lit up. Jack stepped close. A beam of light scanned his body. Then, identity confirmed, bearer accepted, vault access granted. A hidden door opened behind the wall. Zinara stared in shock. "No one has entered that vault in 10,000 years. They stepped inside. In the middle of the dark room floated a hologram, an image of a tall, human-like figure in armor, holding the same glowing sword. It spoke. "If you carry the mark, then you are the one we prepared for. The blade is not a weapon, it is a key. And the key has awakened the enemy." Zinara gasped. "What enemy?" The hologram continued. "Long ago, a force called the Hunger was locked away. It feeds on stars, minds, and light. The sword was made to stop it. Only a pure heart can lift it. Only a true outsider. And now the Hunger has heard the signal." Jack stepped back. "What have I started?" Outside the station, a hunter's red eye blinked in the darkness. They had found him, and they were not going to let the human with the sword's voice in his head escape again. The Chosen One, a storm was rising, not in the sky, but across the galaxy. In 1,000 systems, old machines flickered to life. In deep space, a sleeping creature opened its many eyes, because the sword had chosen someone. and that someone was a human. Jack Mason stood in the vault of the star station, still staring at the glowing hologram of the ancient armored figure. The voice echoed through the chamber like a memory from a lost time. "You are not just the bearer. You are the last key." Zenara stood beside him, too shocked to speak. Her world, her history, her ancestors, all pointed to this moment. But how could it be a human? Jack blinked. "What does last key even mean?" The voice explained. "The hunger is already coming. Only the sword, awakened by the last key, can open the vault of light, where the weapon that ends the darkness sleeps." Jack looked down at his hand. The mark was glowing brighter now, and his veins sparkled with faint blue light. Suddenly the hologram stopped. A red warning flashed across the walls. "Hostiles approaching." Zenara rushed to the door. "They found us." Outside, crash-talk hunters crept through the sand. Their leader, a shadow-cloaked killer named Zorvak, held a scanner that blinked rapidly. He hissed into his comm. "Target confirmed. Human and female inside the vault," Krar's voice replied, sharp and cold. "Capture them. I want the sword. If he resists, cut him down." Zorvak gave the signal. 5 hunters moved like ghosts. Inside, Jack held the hilt of the sword-shaped relic mounted in the vault's center. It wasn't a full weapon, it was a fragment glowing and humming with energy. "Should I pull it?" he asked. Zenara hesitated. "I don't know what will happen." He nodded. "Guess we'll find out." He gripped the fragment with both hands. As he pulled it free, the entire star station lit up with blue lightning. The ground shook, walls cracked, light exploded from the mark on Jack's arm. He didn't just hold the sword fragment, he became part of it. His eyes glowed like twin stars. His voice deepened for a moment as if thousands spoke through him at once. "I am the bearer. I open the gate." Zenara stepped back in awe. "Jack, you're changing." Then, bang! The wall blew open. Hunters poured in with energy blades drawn. "Don't move," one shouted. Zenara pulled her plasma dagger. Jack, still glowing, raised his hand, and the sword fragment lit up with a beam of light that shot across the room like a whip, knocking the first hunter unconscious. Another one jumped at him, but Jack turned, and without thinking, dodged like a trained warrior. He grabbed the attacker's weapon and tossed it away with unnatural strength. "What's happening to me?" Jack shouted. Zenara sliced down the last soldier, panting. "The sword is giving you its memory, its reflexes, its power." More were coming. They ran, through the cracked hallways, over rusted bridges down into the cliffs. Jack kept hearing the voice in his mind. "The temple is not your enemy. The true enemy is coming. The hunger walks again. You must reach the vault of light." "You have 7 days." They escaped through an old mining tunnel, the station exploding behind them. Outside, under the darkened sky, Jack collapsed to his knees. The light on his skin slowly faded. Zenara stood over him. "You are not just an outsider now. You're a target. Every empire, every hunter, every ancient thing out there will come for you." Jack looked up at the stars. "I didn't ask for this." "I know," she said softly. "But the sword did. And somewhere, beyond a distant sun, the hunger began to stir. The chosen one had awakened the key, and the countdown to the galaxy's test had begun. The alien backlash across the galaxy, an ancient warning signal pulsed from the planet Vornak. It was old, deep, and coded in a language forgotten by most. But one thing was clear. The sword has chosen. That message changed everything. All major, alien empires received it. Some ignored it, some panicked, but others prepared for war. Back on Vornak, deep within the sand dunes, Jack Mason woke up under a blood-red sky. His head throbbed. His fingers still glowed faintly from the sword's power, though the light was dimmer now. He wasn't sure if he was still himself. Zenara stood watch at the cave's entrance. Her normally calm face now showed fear. Not of Jack, but of what would come for Jack. They're hunting you now, she said quietly. Jack sat up. Because I touched an old sword? Because you lifted it, because you heard it, because it chose you. Suddenly, the cave wall behind her shook. Boom. Zinara turned instantly. Get down! The wall exploded in a flash of green plasma. 3. Armored aliens charged in, mercenaries of the Zarkon Syndicate, their armor marked with the red eye of the warlords. Jack Mason, one of them growled, raising a weapon. You are under galactic arrest for possession of a forbidden artifact. Jack stood slowly, breathing hard. You mean the sword? They aimed at him. Zinara reached for her weapon, but Jack raised his hand, and then the sword's mark on his palm flared like fire. The lead soldier froze in place, his weapon shaking in his hands. Blue sparks shot from Jack's fingertips, without him even trying. Drop your weapons, Jack said. They didn't listen, so the mark answered for him. With a loud hum, a pulse of energy exploded from Jack's body, tossing the mercenaries backward like leaves in a storm. They hit the rock wall and collapsed unconscious. Jack stood there, stunned. I didn't know I could do that, he said. You couldn't, Zinara whispered. Not before. Word of the human bearer spread fast. At the Crashtalk fortress, General Krar roared in rage. He defeated my hunters? He's just a man. The alien advisors around him spoke nervously. He carries the mark. He activated the vault. The sword has accepted him. Another voice echoed from the shadows. A tall, cloaked figure stepped into the light, an old alien queen with hollow eyes and a metallic spine. She spoke with a cracked voice. If the bearer has truly returned, the hunger will follow, Krar growled. Then we will take the sword before it fully awakens. She warned, if you fail, General, this time, even your empire may fall. Meanwhile, Jack and Zinara ran. Every safe house she knew had already been raided. Every signal they sent was intercepted. They were being tracked across the stars. Where can we go? Jack asked. To the Void Peaks, she replied. There's a shipyard there, old and hidden. If we're lucky, we can escape the planet before Krar sends a fleet. They reached an old hoverbike buried under sand. Zinara rewired the core with sparks and wires, then jumped on. Hold tight, she said. They sped through the night desert, glowing trails of dust behind them, but above them 2 black ships silently followed. Inside one, a bounty hunter with a face made of metal smiled. Gotcha. As the bike approached the canyon, a missile hit the rock nearby. Boom. Jack and Zinara flew off the bike and hit the ground hard. From the smoke, armored bounty hunters emerged. Lasers lit up. Jack stood, blood on his brow. One of the hunters stepped forward. Hand over the sword's mark and we'll make it quick. Jack clenched his fists. I'm done running. The ground shook. The sword symbol on his chest flared again. His voice echoed, not just as a man, but as a conduit for something older. You are not ready for what I carry. Blue lightning shot from his chest. Zinara covered her eyes. The hunters screamed, overwhelmed by the sudden burst of energy. When the dust settled, they were all unconscious. Zinara ran to him. That power, it's growing. Jack nodded, breathing hard. Yeah, and I think it's just beginning. From the distance, a larger ship approached. General Krar was coming next, and this time he wasn't sending hunters. He was coming himself. The trials of fire in a quiet part of the universe where suns once burned and now only shadows lived. Something woke up. Old machines turned their eyes toward Vornak. The hunger stirred in its prison of black gravity, because the human had passed the sword's first test. Now came the second. Jack Mason stood on the cracked floor of the Sanctum of Ash, an ancient underground place lost in legends. Zinara had led him there after their escape, deep beneath the canyon, hidden under layers of lava rock and time, the Ao. Walls were covered in carvings of fire, stars, and death. Above the door was a warning. Only the heartlit may pass. All others burn. Zinara turned to him. This is it. The trials of fire. No one who ever entered came back. Jack stared at the symbol glowing on his hand. But I have to go in, don't I? She nodded. The sword chose you. This place will test you. If you fail, the power will kill you from inside. If you pass, you'll unlock the next truth. Jack looked into the dark hallway beyond the door. He stepped forward. The stone door slammed shut behind him. Trial 1. The flames of truth. The room burst into fire the moment he entered. But the flames didn't burn him. They spoke. 1,000 whispers surrounded him, repeating the same question. Who are you without the sword? Suddenly, Jack was shown memories, his childhood, his mistakes, the people he let down. He saw his failures, his fears, his loneliness in space. He fell to his knees. I'm nobody, he whispered. The voices screamed, Then you are unworthy. The flames moved toward him, but Jack raised his head. No, I'm someone because I choose to stand now, not because I was perfect. The flames stopped. The fire formed a door and let him pass. Trial 2. The mirror of flesh. In the next chamber, Jack saw himself, but not just a reflection. It was a living version of him. Same face, same body, but cold, cruel eyes. The mirror. Jack laughed. You think kindness will save the galaxy? You'll fail them all. They fought. Jack dodged each strike, barely surviving. But then he stopped. You're not my enemy, he said. You're me. My fear. My anger. He dropped his weapon. The mirror paused and vanished like smoke. A beam of light opened the next door. Trial 3. The Bridge of Flame. Jack walked into a massive cave with a burning bridge stretched over lava, no handrails, no path back. He stepped forward. The bridge cracked. Each step forward made it worse. He started falling, but a blue light surrounded him. The sword's mark lifted him up, carried him across, protected him. When he reached the other side, he collapsed in exhaustion, but the stone under him opened. He had passed. Jack woke in a glowing chamber. At the center floated a full holographic image of the sword, now glowing stronger than ever. Bearer, the voice said, you have passed the 3 flames. You have faced your truth, fought your shadow, and walked through death. You are ready for the final trial. Zainara suddenly appeared at the entrance. Jack, you survived? He smiled weakly. Barely. She helped him up, but something had changed. His eyes now glowed faintly. His skin shimmered with threads of ancient code. He was still human, but something more now. Zainara looked at him with wonder. The fire changed you. I think it did, Jack whispered, but I don't think we're safe. And they weren't. Outside the temple, massive ships blocked the skies. General Krar had arrived. His voice echoed across the canyons through a loudspeaker. Human, you have something that belongs to me. Surrender the sword, or burn with the mountain. Jack stood at the entrance of the sanctum, the flames still behind him. He looked at Zainara, then at the sky, then at his hand. Let him come, Jack said. The trials didn't just change me. They awakened something ancient. And I'm ready. The final duel and the truth across the galaxy. Ancient signals blinked for the first time in 10,000 years. Star priests wept. War machines stirred from sleep, and in the blackness between stars, something monstrous smiled, because the sword had chosen a human, and that human was now ready to face the final test. High above the desert of Vornak, giant alien ships blocked out the sun. The air was heavy. The sandstorm had frozen in silence. General Krar stood at the front of his warship, claws locked behind his back. His armor glowed red, his eyes full of fury. Beside him stood a prisoner, one of the ancient priests of Valzar. Krar hissed, "Tell me the truth. Why did the sword choose a human?" The priest spoke, voice shaking. "Because the sword never wanted power. It wanted mercy. It waited for a species born from pain but capable of compassion." Krar roared. "Then it chose wrong. On the ground below, Jack Mason walked out of the burning sanctum of ash. His body was still human, but lit from within by the sword's light. Zinara followed him, her eyes wide with wonder. "You survived fire, shadow, and death," she whispered. "You're not just the bearer now." "I know," Jack said. "I'm the key." The sky cracked open with thunder as Krar's ship descended. The warlord stepped out, blade in hand, soldiers at his back. "Human," he growled. "Fight me. Prove you're worthy." Jack nodded. "I won't kill you. You won't get the chance." The final duel began. Krar rushed like a storm, claws striking like lightning. His strength shook the ground, but Jack moved with calm, his blade glowing with ancient light. Krar's strikes were fast, wild, full of hate. Jack's moves were quiet, clean, each block full of purpose. Zinara watched, holding her breath. Suddenly, Krar broke through Jack's guard and slashed across his side. Jack fell to one knee, bleeding. "You're weak," Krar spat, but Jack looked up, calm, unafraid. "Maybe," he said, "but I have something you don't." He stood again. "I have hope." The sword flared like a star. In one final move, Jack disarmed Krar, not with rage, but with peace. He pointed the sword at him, then dropped it. "I won't destroy you," Jack said. "This ends with a choice, not a death." Krar fell back, shocked. The priest who had been watching whispered. He passed. Suddenly the ground shook violently. A black hole appeared above the desert. Zinara screamed, "It's here! The hunger is breaking through." From the sky, a massive shadowy creature, made of teeth and void, began to descend. Ships were crushed. Light bent. Even the suns dimmed. Krar stood frozen. "We're too late." Jack stepped forward. The sword rose from the sand and flew into his hand. It was complete now. The blade burned blue. Bearer accepted, final seal opened. A column of light shot from the sword into the sky. The creature screamed. Stars lit up across the galaxy, activating old towers, weapons, and seals once locked away. The hunger was pulled back into the black hole, screaming, fading, sealed, forever. Silence returned. Krar fell to his knees. He did what our strongest warriors never could. Zinara walked to Jack, helping him up. He looked exhausted. "It's over," she whispered. "No," Jack said, smiling. "It's just beginning." Epilogue. Weeks later, Jack Mason stood at a council table, surrounded by alien leaders. The sword was now quiet, resting. Zinara stood beside him as his translator, guide, and friend. Krar approached and bowed his head. "You saved us all." Jack nodded. "Not me alone. The sword chose humanity, but all of you have the chance to choose peace." The council voted. For the first time in history, humans were given a seat at the Galactic Alliance. The forgotten outsider had become the galaxy's brightest light. Because where power failed, humanity's heart had won.